Hey there everybody, welcome back. We are in green now, one of my favorite colors. Actually, I had a lot of fun playing Simic last time, so I think Simic or Selesnya is going to be the way I go in this. They're a little bit more controlling, a little bit more fun, and one of the things that makes them that way is this sweet battering Crassus 3-drop 2-1 trample evolve. That is amazing to me. The fact that this guy has trample, the fact that he evolves so quickly. He's a 3-drop, but I don't give a shit because I have so much stuff that is fatter in the ass than him that's going to go ahead and just pump him up. It's going to allow him to really get in there and do some damage. I like him. I also like him in Gruul, to be honest with you, because they're going to be able to blood rush him, to trample in there. They've got First Strike they can throw on him, make him crazy. First Strike, trample, blood rush. What more could you want? I love this guy, especially coming in at common. That's pretty sweet. Crawl Warrior, this dude's an insect. Gets +3/+3 until end of turn for 1,000 mana. This guy's not great, don't love him, don't really even like him at all. He's basically just a bear. Late game, he's a really expensive 5/5. You're not going to be able to multiple pump that is the thing that really sucks. So he's definitely not something that I'm in love with. He could round out your creature roster just because he's a bear, and he can evolve some of your creatures. But he's just not something that I'm super hyped about by any means. We've got Maze Behemoth. The art on this dude is amazing. Trample. Multiple creatures you control have trample. I love that. I love it. So this guy kind of just goes ahead and, well, not that you would have that much mana in both these guys necessarily. But this guy's going to give everybody trample. They're going to get in there. If you have the Death Touch guy from Black, they're going to get in there and just blah, 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 just nut all over your opponent. It's going to be amazing. I do love trample. I love giving my creatures trample. Basically, this is like bad overrun. You can look at this as bad overrun. Basically, if you know overrun's going to give +3/+3 to all your creatures for 1 less mana, actually. Also grant them trample at sorcery speed. This guy's a little bit sorcery speed too, but they can kill it at instant speed, take the trample away from your creatures, make you really sad. They can do that with any of those guys, Death Touch guy as well. Didn't really bring that up in the Black video. But this guy is still pretty good. I love trample. If they're tapped down, they are going to be heartbroken when you drop this card, because they could have a bunch of chumpers. I mean, Selesnya does exist, so they could have 1/1 birds, they could have 3/3 centaurs, whatever. I don't know if they can have 3/3 centaurs. But they have tokens out, and they're like, well, I can bash in and just tap down and do my turn because I have blockers out. With this card in the format, if you have 6 mana, they can't do that. They have to be worried about this guy coming down and just killing them. Mending Touch, regenerate target creature, instant speed, 1-drop. That's awesome. It's like Undying Evil, like only worse. Well, Undying Evil was beautiful. Like, oh god, sickening. But this is pretty sweet. I like this. It just brings a dude back, so you can kill one of their dudes. Be like 1 mana that my guy comes back. What's up? What's happening? Regenerate, of course, very complicated mechanic. Remember that he is tapped, removed from battle, not dead. But a little worse for the wearer, definitely going to be tapped down. It's not like, you know, Undying Evil, they're going to come back untapped, ready to go. Mutants Prey, target creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, fights target creature an opponent controls. So this is like this is Pit Fight for 1 mana, for pretty much basically for Simic exclusively. It's a fun card. It's an interesting card. I like it. I mean, it's removal for your green spells. It's removal for your green decks, because you're going to have your big creatures coming out. They're going to have their +1/+1 counters on them, hopefully. It's just that it's very conditional. There was a card in an older set that gave a +1/+1 counter. I mean, that'd be sick. Like, that's perfect storm type shit right there. But if you were able to instant speed, give your dude +1/+1 counter so that it could block and kill the opponent, and then throw this on so it blocks and, or doesn't block, but it fights and kills another creature and then dies, you know? I mean, but you're kind of 2-for-1ing, but you're using 2 spells at that point. I mean, I don't know. Bottom line, this is Pit Fight, instant speed, 1 mana. It's good. if you have the amount of +1/+1 counters that make it good. I mean, if you have this in your hand and no +1/+1 counters on your creature, you're going to be pretty sad. And there's also going to be a lot of times where you'll have your +1/+1 creature and you won't want to have it die, so you won't want to do this prey upon mechanic because those guys get bigger. So if you have to use this to kill it, you're going to be a little bit sad. So I understand that this card has a lot of downsides, but it has a lot of positive sides as well. So I'm sure it'll see play. It's a very interesting card. Fittibirst. That thing's pretty sweet looking too. Target creature gains +5/+5 until end of turn. Sorcery speed. I mean, it's okay. It's 2-drop sorcery speed +5/+5. This alone is going to let you. I mean, you know, be wise about when you play this, and it might be able to win you the game. If your opponent's tapped down, if you have a creature with trample, I mean, that dude from way earlier that gets a little bit bigger incrementally gets insane. It is just until end of turn, so you want to try and save this up until it can be really sickening. And remember that it is sorcery speed, so you can't get too silly with it, too tricky with it. But it is a pretty good card in green. It's going to allow you to push through a lot more damage when the time is right for it. It's not as good as like that red card that we looked at earlier. It's not as tricky as that, obviously, but it is 5 extra damage to their face for 2 mana. A little rare in green, to be sure. Renegade Crassus Evolve. Whenever Renegade Crassus evolves, put a +1/+1 counter on each other creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. This is gonna drive a lot of decks. This guy's gonna just get behind the wheel with all his tentacles and just be like driving stick. So easy, because he's got a bunch of tentacles, so you can like 10 and 2. So he's gonna drop for 3. +1/+1 counters to the whole party. Everybody's got counters. Everybody's happy. I mean, they have to have counters on them already, but you're the evolve guy. I love him. I love him. I want to keep him as a pet. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool looking. I mean, that guy doesn't like him. He's sad, but what are you gonna do? It's really gay. They made up a lot of words for this one. Gatekeepers. When this enters the battlefield, if you control 2 or more gates, you gain 7 life. Blur. It's a 2/4 blocker. It gains you 7 life. It doesn't have flash. I don't know. Gaining life. I don't love gaining life. You guys know my stance on gaining life probably. If you're new to the channel or new to the game, it seems better than it really is. The fact that it's attached to a 2/4 is pretty nice, but it's definitely not something to write home about. If you're short on creatures, if you have 15 creatures and this guy's in your pack that you open, yeah, throw him in. You're going to gain 7 life. It's not really bad, you know. But he's definitely not Thragtusk. Don't get confused. Be like, whoa, 2 spears. They're carrying 2 spears. Where's my Thragtusk? No, not here. Not here. Skylasher, Flash, protection from blue, can't be countered with a reach around. Not bad. Not bad. The fact that it can't be countered is pretty silly. The fact that it has flash, super silly. The fact that it's reach, very super silly. And it's pro blue, so it just gets in there and it's like, no, slaps blue in the face. I like that quite a bit. This dude's 2-drop, 2/2. He's going to come in. He might be able to instant speed pump some of your other dudes that have evolved as well, if they're one in the ass or one in the front. So, hey, definitely not bad. I like him. I like him in the colors he's in. I like him being able to just say no to flyers. I think that's pretty good. Not super perfect against, you know, your non-blue opponents, obviously, but still worth it. Maybe sideboard material if, I mean, you would side him out if you were against something that's way more aggressive and just doesn't really have blue. And if you're facing like Rakdos or something like that, I don't think this guy's going to do it for you, but Thrashing Mouse Dog. That does not look like a dog at all, but it is so metal. He kind of looks like a dog. He's pretty sweet. He's got reach as well. He's going to scavenge for a bunch. We haven't really seen scavenge yet. Exile this card, you know, put +1/+1 counters on it, equal to the card's power on target creature. You can only do that as a sorcery. This guy's pretty good because he has reach. His scavenge cost isn't super expensive. It's 2 more than his casting cost. So that's a little bit worrisome for me. Scavenge, obviously not the best mechanic in the game by any means. It's not the best mechanic in the pre-release. So I'm a little bit worried about this guy coming off and really popping off, really doing anything too great. But he has a 3/3 for 4, and he has reach. So he's got a couple of tricks that keep him fresh and funky. That's going to take us into white. So that is going to be all for right now. Thank you so much for watching, you guys. I will see you when we talk about Boros Mastiff.